You tell me somebody being good, I'll show you something that, evil lurking there too. This is the nature of the mind. So why do we superpose opposites? We superpose opposites because, as Hegel, a philosopher, but very good philosopher, he understood quantum physics. Opposites gives us new possibilities. It allows us to jump because no known answer will ever integrate opposites. It can't. Mind cannot integrate opposites. So you have to jump to this, what we call supramental, to this value domain, domain of intuition, domain of creativity, and find a new possibility to find that which transcends both good and evil. So when people say God is good, the reason it is confusing, God is good transcends both good and evil. That good which contains good and evil, but transcends them every situation, it takes the ambiguity of the situation and finds just the appropriate right answer. There is no inherent mental good or mental bad in anything. There is, however, a transcendent good, and the process that you have to go through is the creative process that will transform that evil or good into that transcendent good. In other words, it's a very good entry point to quantum consciousness. The whole spirituality, the whole tradition, all practices, anything that you do spiritual is ultimately gaining access to quantum consciousness. So the way of ethics is a very powerful one because and this is why evil is necessary. We need to do that because good-evil juxtaposition allows us to transcend as much as any other juxtaposition of opposites, conflicts in general. So why do we have conflicts? We have conflicts because conflicts help us to jump levels. Jump levels, and that jumping of the level is what takes us to quantum consciousness and allows us to choose the solution, the integration, the integrative movement. So this is one kind of answer that you can give in philosophy, and this is the closest the philosopher will come. In science, we can do a little bit better. In science, we can posit the whole idea of evolution, which is a scientific process. We have enormous evidence for it, right? So evolution occurs. And we now are finally getting evidence that there is some Darwinian kind of evolution which people know about, but there is also non-Darwinian evolution that is going on. What is this non-Darwinian evolution about? This evolution takes place all of a sudden, quantum leaps of evolution. This is why the fossil data is not continuous. It has gaps in it. What is the function of quantum leaps in evolution? How does it happen? Well, it happens through quantum leaps. We said it's a discontinuous transition that is taking place. These discontinuous transitions, again, require that opposites always good. Discontinuous transition, the best way of causing it is always juxtaposing opposites. That's what transcends you. So in evolution too then, there has to be a juxtaposition of opposites. Does that actually happen? People who study evolution, they find an astounding thing. Just as evolution takes place, creation takes place, occasionally destruction takes place. In biological kingdom, there is as much as creation going on, creation of species, new species, as much extinction also going on. Particularly there are specific eras in which there are havocs, just catastrophes that has taken place. There is geological evidence that 96% in one of these events, 96% of all of this is just passed away. So when you say Darwinism holds no water, because these are the things that actually has affected evolution much more than the continuous part that Darwin talks about. But what's the necessity of this destruction? The necessity is that destruction helps creativity to flourish. Creatively, new species, completely unsuspected species, takes the center stage because other species who were distracting the evolution of consciousness, they pass away. Dinosaurs, for example, huge violent event took place because meteor showers probably came and completely wiped out these dinosaurs. Mammals already existed, but they were not getting anywhere because dinosaurs are so huge and so powerful, mammals had no chance. But now that the dinosaurs were wiped out, mammals flourished, and eventually human beings come into account. Okay, so this tells us that evil is part of creation. This is why in Hinduism, which is one of the most mature spiritual traditions, Shiva, the god of creativity, his dance has both of these aspects, creation and destruction at the same time. Good and evil at the same time. The same idea, but this time backed by science. We actually find this in the geological, biological history of humanity.
So you think maybe you'd consider God good and evil? Because for instance, when you look at evolution and you look at biology and what it means to be a creature existing in the world, what is really apparent to me is that existence is a struggle. That's what it means to exist. To exist means to struggle. To continue to exist means to be victorious in stages of that struggle. And as you go on...
Don't put struggle all that highly. Okay, that's Darwinian language.
It seems to be a pretty big deal.
But why is it so much of a big deal? It's big deal in some stages. Certainly it was very big deal in some stages of evolution. Mm-hmm. Certainly. Scarcity, so species have to compete for scarce food, all that is very true.
Right. I mean,
but in general, the struggle for existence is a phrase that biologists have created. Mm-hmm. Struggle doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
No. What is struggle? There are plentiful of lions, plentiful of deers, lions eat on them. Then all the deers vanish. Right? Mm-hmm. That can happen. So lions compete a little bit during those times. They have to look for, and then if one lion gets it, lion will preserve that and not share with other lions. It's true. There will be in that era, when a famine is taking place and deers have disappeared from the region, there is struggle. But then again, nature will flourish, rains come, no drought, deers are back, lions plenty of food, no struggle necessary, plenty of food for everyone. So where is this ongoing struggle that is going on? These are biological models that you have created, you have to cool it. Yes, it is true, it's sometimes just like us. When there is famine, we die. We don't have food. But then food comes back, we flourish. Where is struggle? So yes, there is competition, but it's not everything. And the other thing that biologists miss, of course, during this period, there are also species which cooperate. There is also signs of many, many species who learn to cooperate instead of struggling and competing. Because by competing, they realize that whatever little there is, we are wasting the opportunity of properly utilizing that food. Instead, if we cooperate, it's much better that we can do much better for survival with management, clever management. These species have learned that. So is there cooperation or is there competition? We find there are both. So these are all relative things. Don't concentrate on that so much, but concentrate on another aspect of evolution, which I'll tell you, which is a little bit more advanced in concept, so a little bit more hard to understand. When we think of evolution not in Darwinian terms, but in terms of consciousness, we discover something very new, which is the job of the physical evolution is to manifest what is more subtle in us. For example, subtle feelings. Physical organs are representations of the subtle energies. Brain makes representation of mental energies or thoughts. Similarly, in the body, the organs make representations of subtle energies that we feel as emotions, as feelings. Okay? So when you look at that way, then we have an entirely different idea of what evolution is about. Evolution is about progressively representing the subtle better and better. What? For what? For ultimately, the most subtle of the stuff is these values, supramental values like love, beauty, truth. These are the things that we really want to manifest. This is what purpose of evolution is.